Hey guys, welcome back to Draw Along Doodles with Walker. We are working on our Thanksgiving fall edition, and one of the things we're going to be making is a semi version of the Mayflower. So the Mayflower is the boat that the Pilgrims took over from England as they set out for the new land, and it is just kind of an iconic symbol. All right, we're going to start with the bottom of the boat, the hull. And it's going to be long, and it's going to be just a little curved in the middle and then flat as it's at the back. We're going to come down a little bit, down a little bit, and then we're going to angle in and in. And now we're going to come across and let it curve just that little bit. All right, now we're going to make further down on the hull. I'm going to come right here and come down and a little in. Now more down and more in. And then it's going to come back. And this is the part of the boat we would be able to see on top of the water. So obviously, if you're traveling on deep water, you're going to carry a lot more with you, especially if there's not going to be a Walmart close by. All right, and this is going to come down and in. Okay, we've got the hull. Now we need to go in and we need to put the masts in. The masts are what hold the large sails. So here's the middle of the boat. A little bit in front of the middle of the boat, I'm going to come up. Almost to the top of my paper. And then I'll come back down, making it about the width of a lollipop stick. It's not as wide as a pencil, but it's got that nice, long, lean look. Close to the back of the boat, I'm going to make another piece that's equally as tall as that. Okay. Now, in between these two, a little bit closer to the back one, I'm going to make one that's not quite as tall. So I'm going to go probably 2/3 of the way up. And I am giving it that width as well. Okay, very good. Now I do need to put my part out here on the bow that sticks forward. So come out with a line, come back in, and then I'm going to make a line that curves from the tip and connects the front of the ship. Okay, so let's start with the biggest sails first, and that's going to be the ones on this mast. So what I'm going to do is I'll come and put lines to divide. So one, and this one's going to be a little bit wider. Two, this one's going to be a little bit lighter. Three, a little bit wider. Four, and five. So I did get pretty close to the bottom of the boat. And if you'd like, you can actually overlap it and let it go into the boat. That's fine. All right, now I'm going to leave a little bit of these lines still showing at the end as I curve to make the sails. So one, two, one. This way it looks like they're blowing forward with the wind. Two, one, two, one. And I am going to let mine run into the boat. I think that's going to look better. I didn't on my example, but as I look at this, I think it's a stronger appearance. All right, so I've got the first part. Now the sails would also have a little bit showing underneath because they're tied right here underneath so that they can be brought up. So one, two, 3, and 4. Okay, now I would be able to see the mast in between the sails where that's coming up, but I wouldn't be able to see through the sails. So I'm going to come and where it is on the sails main part, I'm going to erase it so that I don't get confused. Okay, very good. Now we're going to put our front 4 or our front 3. These are just going to be floating sails right now. They're not going to have a mast attached. Obviously, they would on a real ship, but right now we're just going to use this rigging. Okay, so now we're going to come down and up. Okay, so there's our first sail. And these are, it's going to get a little busy in here. So I am going to go ahead and erase what's inside so that it doesn't get too confusing to look at. 2, I'm following that same shape and that same angle, but I'm getting a little bit smaller. 2. And 3. Okay, so now we're going to come back and do this sail in the middle. So we're going to come down. It's going to go behind these, and then it's going to come across. And now we're going to have another floating rigging right here, just like we did up towards the front. So floating up. And coming down. Okay, last but not least, we need the back sails. Now we're going to come have these be angled back. So just like these lines, we're going to come out a little bit, out more, and then we're going to come out the most. So we'll arch from here to here. We will arch from here to here. And we're actually going to let it billow forward a little bit so that you can see where the wind is blowing it. And so when we draw the curve underneath this time, it's going to be curving close to that mast. So it's gradually getting there, and then close to the mast is where it's going. All right, now obviously we wouldn't be able to see through the mast. So let's get rid of that. And there we are. We've got our beautiful boat. Now, if you've been erasing as you've been going, then you're going to have an easier time going into Sharpie. I like to Sharpie the sails first because they go in an order, and that way I can kind of follow, like, what's the thing that's the most forward? Okay, it's these 3 sails, and I can work from there. Otherwise, it can get a little bit confusing. All right, so I'm going to get the across part. We said we're going to hide that part in the bottom. Now, I am not guaranteeing that this is going to be a completely accurate version of the Mayflower, but it's a pretty good way to create a ship when you need a ship. And I don't know that a lot of people are going to challenge you on what your ship looks like, because there's not a bunch of people sailing ships like this anymore. So you'll be okay. And getting our mast coming down. Now, since I've already made it here, I'm going to wait to go through and do the boat's hull until after I've done the last sails. So there's this next furthest front sail. Here's the mast for this sail. And there we go. And now the back sails. So I'm going to come and go ahead and get that cross post. Then I'm going to let them billow forward. Billow forward. And then remember, your curve is happening really close to the pole. Okay. And then there is our mast that's showing through. Okay. Now that we've got all of those, we can go in and get the boat. So I'm going to come back. And now I can go downward from here to create the solid part of the boat's hull. And now I'll come and create this part. Now, this is going to be a very open part. The bow wasn't actually going to have anything in between there, so we're going to leave it. I'm thinking for this one, I'd like to have some pieces of wood or some ideas of pieces of wood coming across the hole so it kind of can see like, oh, this is where it's going. This is what it might look like. Like giving people the impression of wood, even though I'm not going to draw every single piece. Okay. Because these would have been made out of long planks. They didn't have long fabrication of metal in the same way that we do now for things like submarines. They would bend this wood over time using moisture and big, giant clamps. It's a very cool process. In fact, there's some people who still build ships this way, but it's more rare nowadays. All right. Enjoy your beautiful boat. I will see you guys later.